Hey guys, so today I'm going to be walking around my garden and finding some things that I can use to make a homemade antibiotic, antimicrobial salve. So I just got this idea, was watching another homesteading channel on YouTube, and the woman was talking about the benefits of not using a petroleum-based antibacterial antibiotic ointment like a Neosporin or something, because they've linked chronic like antibacterial salve or solution use to antibiotic resistance. And that makes a lot of sense because when we use antibiotics continuously, and that's something Americans especially do a lot of, we end up making our body resistant to those things, and then when we really need them, they do nothing. So I thought, I actually grow all of these things in my garden, and it's just another way to use them up, because why not use them if I grow them? So I'm going to walk around the garden, show you how I set up the tincture. Well, not a tincture, you can do a tincture, but I'm going to be setting up a salve, and then we will go step by step. And yeah, so this will be kind of like a 1 month to a month and a half process, because I do like to dry my things before I make anything in an oil, just so I don't end up ruining it, because if there's moisture in the oil, they can mold and go bad. So I'm going to dry these things today, and then in about a month and a half, we will make the salve together. So the first plant I'm going to harvest for this salve is going to be bee balm. So this is a Florida native plant. It's native to other places as well, but it is native here in Florida. And it is called dotted horsemint, spotted horsemint, bee balm, monarda, all the same thing. But this is the time of year that is in flower, and the pollinators absolutely love this plant. They're always on it. And I have it growing quite abundantly here, so I am not afraid of taking a little bit off to make this salve. So since it is in flower right now, we're going to get some additional potency here to put in our salve. So I'm going to start by harvesting this. And so one interesting thing about this ingredient, it is high in what's called thymol. And I was researching it, and thymol is an antiseptic, antimicrobial, just general, wound care additive. So this one will be a great one for our salve. So interestingly enough, this plant is growing right in my walkway, and it snapped off from the base. So these leaves are a tiny bit wilty, but they will do just fine for our purposes. I think it just snapped off a little bit ago. So I'm going to harvest this whole thing, because this would wilt and die regardless. So 2 birds with 1 stone. So the next thing I'm going to harvest is this yarrow. So yarrow is also another antimicrobial, antiseptic plant that you can use. It's been used medicinally for ages, and I just happen to love the way it looks and how easy it grows. It grows in really poor soil, and the whole plant is medicinal, but right now it's not really flowering, so we're going to use the leaves. So it's not a bad idea to thin out your yarrow sometimes, and this one was planted pretty heavily, so it'll be fine to just snip some of this off and put it in our salve. So let's see. Let's go in here and take some of that. And we don't need that whole amount of bee balm that we took. It's just that it had already broken off, so I'm not going to waste it. Because I can also use bee balm in teas. I actually just put some in a tea this morning, and it was really delicious. It has like a what kind of flavor, like an oregano type flavor to it. I think we'll take a little more, because if this works, it'd be cool to make like an abundance of it. I do take yarrow and dry it throughout the year because I put it in teas and stuff as well. It's good for soothing your throat. If you are having cramps or anything like that, it can help soothe as well. And the last thing I'm going to harvest is some goldenrod. So I had some goldenrod growing over where I first harvested this bee balm, but I only have a couple plants over there, and I do want it to spread out in that area, so I'm gonna leave that. I have an abundance of it growing here by my front porch. I have no canopy because the hurricane came by and we took it down. So what I'm going to do is, let's see, I'm gonna harvest not the whole plants, but I'm gonna harvest some where the flowers are just starting to open. So like this one here. And then I'm gonna harvest just some of the leaves. So in the video I watched, the woman actually used comfrey in her salve, but comfrey does not grow well here in Florida, especially during the hot summer. So I don't have any comfrey right now, and since we're talking about sustainability and using what you have, I have goldenrod, which also has great antimicrobial, antibacterial properties in it, and it's great for wounds. So we're going to use that as a substitution. Let me cut some of this. And I know the pollinators use this goldenrod, but it's fine. They have plenty to use on my property. So we're actually just gonna cut. Oh, there's a beetle that's flying all around me. It keeps landing on my face. And then we have 3 stems right there. I think these are kind of close together. I think I'll come down here and cut this long one. And then maybe one more. So this one is a little too far gone. It's going to seed now. I don't want to use that. So we'll go down here and cut this guy. Alrighty, so this is actually the next morning. I hung up the bee balm, the goldenrod, and the yarrow, and I'm gonna let this dry for a couple weeks. And in that time, I am going to order a couple more things to go in my salve, and then I'll be able to come back with you guys and put it all together. So right now, we're just waiting on nature to do its thing and dry out these herbs. So stay tuned for the next video in a few weeks about the finished product. Thanks for watching and have a good day.